Clinton City Council will now please come to order. We'll begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Gassman.
Here.
Seeley.
Here.
McGraw. Here. Allison.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
Shemmers.
Here.
Oder.
Here. Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to dispense with the reading of the regular City Council and Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of July 10th, 2018, and they be approved as published on July 24th, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Shemmers.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw. Yes. Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. We have tonight a rather important presentation. If the members of the development group would like to come up.
We're going to have a wrestling match, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a wrestling match.
Not in the room.
Just form a line. Yeah, we're going to get you all up here. If you know, I have a mic, so you all can speak. Nobody can need to be shy tonight. Yeah.
You got to hold your own.
I think she can hold her own.
Jerome, if you want to go get in the middle here somewhere. Yeah, you got to get in the middle. Then I get in the picture here somewhere.
Oh, geez.
Now, hey, watch my check. Watch my check. Now, tonight marks the final payment for the rail park commitment from the CCDA, and I'm very pleased to accept it. It's a very large check. I know it won't fit through the drive-up window tomorrow morning, but if you'd like to turn that around so that we can get that on camera, and we can get some press pictures. Everybody's got all the pictures? Okay. Well, no, hang on now. You know, for the people at home that don't know, that it was a commitment from your group for 10 years for $200,000 a year for $2 million. So I guess I'm going to hand you the mic and let you say a few words.
My name is Jerome Birkin, and I happen to be chair of the Clinton County Development Committee this year. And we are very proud to make the last payment out of $2 million. They told me it was 10 years already. I don't know where it went.
Yeah.
I thought we just went on that tour not long ago. But time does go by. So it is now my pleasure to make the final payment of $200,000 to the city of Clinton.
Thank you. Anybody else like to say anything? No? Okay. Well, I appreciate that. The rail park wouldn't be where it's at today if we wouldn't have had the money from your group. So thank you very much. Thank you for your commitment to the whole Clinton County.
Yeah.
Do they have any more?
You want to receive? Oh, here. We'll put it right out here in front.
Oh, are they? Yours? Why?
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
There's a real check.
It is. I do have a real check here, so. Okay. So we'll move back to our meeting, and we have no public hearings tonight, so we will move down to audience comment. Have we got any? I have no slips of anybody that wants to speak, so I'll ask if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak tonight. And hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented on the attachment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Connell?
15 and 16.
15, 16. Anyone else? Okay. Could we have a roll call vote on the balance of the consent agenda, please?
Councilmember Odor?
Yes.
Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
I'm sorry. With the amended
Oh.
consent agenda, they were the wrong numbers.
Oh,
It should be
okay.
16 and 17 on the amended agenda.
Okay, that's okay. I was looking at that, and I was beginning to wonder. I was beginning to wonder, but I thought you had your reasons. That's okay.
It's on the
Okay.
amended agenda, yeah.
So we have pulled out 16 and 17, so let's start the roll call over.
Thank you.
Councilmember Odor?
Yes.
Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes.
Shemmers?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to motions, resolutions, and ordinances. Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the claims we have be received, approved, and placed on file.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
Abstain?
Shemmers?
Yes.
Odor?
Yes.
Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Odor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have an ordinance for the second consideration.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Odor?
Yes.
Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
First off, I'd like to say that I am a restaurant owner, and it's been suggested that maybe I would like to excuse myself from this vote. I've thought about it, talked to different people, and I think any questions that I might ask that pertains to anybody that is a food processing establishment, that any questions I might clear up will help not only me, but all other food establishments in town. So I'm not going to excuse myself. I am going to vote yes.
Councilmember Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes.
Shemmers?
Yes.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending Chapter 52 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clinton, Iowa pertaining to fats, oils, and grease. I move the rules be suspended and the council consider the ordinance for the third time.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call in, please?
Councilmember Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes.
Shemmers?
Yes.
Odor?
Yes.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending Chapter 52 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clinton, Iowa for fats, oils, and grease. I move the rules be suspended and the ordinance under consideration be placed on its final passage and adopted.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any final discussion? Could we have roll call in, please?
Councilmember Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes.
Shemmers?
Yes.
Odor?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution of official endorsement of funding application 2018 Traffic Safety Improvement Program to the Iowa Department of Transportation for the North 3rd Street Traffic Safety Improvements Project, including 3-lane conversion from 17th Avenue North to 25th Avenue North and intersection reconstruction at Main Avenue and North 3rd Street. I move this be adopted as read.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call in, please?
Councilmember McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes.
Shemmers?
Yes.
Odor?
Yes.
Gassman?
No.
Seeley?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember McGraw.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution appointing Bankers Trust Company of Des Moines, Iowa to serve as paying agent, note registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent and note registrar and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of the agreement. I move that the resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell?
Yes.
Shemmers?
Yes.
Odor?
Yes.
Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving and authorizing a form of loan agreement and authorizing and providing for the issuance of $12,310,000 general obligation capital loan notes series 208 2018A and amending the levy of taxes to pay said notes, approval of the tax exemption certificate and continuing disclosure certificate. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
How does this change the levy amount?
since we say it's amending it. Do we know that?
No, we'll know that once we work through the budget season. But our intent is that what we showed you during the last capital improvement plan is to maintain that average across the board.
Were we planning on this during the budget season?
Yep.
We were planning on this amount?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Shemmers.
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember McGraw.
I have a motion to approve the mayor's recommendations to boards and commissions. I move that the resolution be adopted as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Wasn't a resolution.
Yeah, I'd like to ask why you and Matt have an indefinite term. I've not seen that really before.
Because the way the ordinance was drafted, it says that two members are one, the mayor, and the second one is the city administrator. So whoever is in that position will have those two spots.
So you don't put to the end of your term?
Well, it's whoever it would be. So you don't have to do a reappointment to that person. So
We talked about just putting mayor and city administrator, but we just went with our names for now, but.
Well,
that
yeah.
could be-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you read the actual ordinance, it says that it's the mayor and the city administrator. So that's it's the only actual commission that we have that actually has those two listed as members of it. Everything else is usually like a staff liaison.
But you would do that in any committee then? Have the same kind of thing? This is the grant committee, right?
Right, and that grant committee was drafted.
Okay, just that ordinance.
Just that one was
Okay.
drafted as the members
Okay.
were the mayor, the city administrator, the chamber director, the CRDC director, the downtown partnership, and the Lions. They were specifically, so whoever is the head of each one of those organizations.
Okay.
So if.
So should they all read indefinite?
No, because each year next year, that's why I waited till now, because Lions just appointed Matt Parbs for
Yeah.
another term.
Lions
Next year,
neighborhood.
if he would be changed and go to somebody else, he would change.
Well, and you will be up for election again?
Well, not next year, it wouldn't change until 2020. But the word mayor is,
Well, I guess if it said mayor, it says your name. Well, I just thought, I agree that it should
well,
probably
then
say.
change it to mayor, it doesn't make any difference. Actually, the ordinance
No,
says.
I was just asking because
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Any
This is the first
before.
one we've ever
Yeah.
had like
I
that.
hadn't ever seen it, so that's
Yeah.
all I was.
That's okay. Actually, it probably would be better if it did say mayor and city administrator. It's fine. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Because we know who the mayor and who the city.
I'll give you
is.
my chair.
So are we amending the,
Amending it to say it, or?
Yeah, there's a motion. Is there, Paul, do you want to make that motion to amend it?
I think it
Just- okay.
should be, because I think it should be generic.
That's fine.
Does it need an actual amendment, or is that, and because if it's crafted that way in the ordinance, maybe it just needs a clarification on the attached
Yeah,
document?
because it actually says in the ordinance, it says
says
mayor.
mayor,
It
then
says
that's-
mayor.
It says mayor,
Yeah, it does say mayor.
so then it should say mayor.
Yeah, it should just say mayor.
And it should say city administrator.
Okay,
If that's
so-
what it says, it doesn't name a specific person.
Yeah. This is implying to a person, not a position, so.
Yeah, that makes no difference.
That's fine.
Okay, so we got a motion, second?
Yep.
Okay, so change the two from names to mayor and city administrator. Could we have a roll call vote on that, please, to amend it?
Councilmember Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Shemmers.
yes?
Odor.
Yes.
Okay. Now, any other, yes.
In the past, we've usually said the names. Do you want me to read these names? Though there's an awful lot of them, but
Can you do it fast?
Hey, we can put them up on the board this time.
Yeah, why don't we do this? No, I don't think you have it.
Would be an attachment.
If you would like to, you can.
well, that's up to you. I didn't care one way or another. I just, in the past, we've person that's come forth, Dwayne Sivers. On the grant committee, we have the mayor, the administrator, Julie Allison, Matt Pars, Aaron Cole, Maureen Miller, Ted Turnow. On the historic preservation, we have Lori Moore. On housing, we have Jürgen Dewar and Ray Smith. Patrick Zirkelbach. On the library board, Gabriel Gluba and Bart Levens. Library board, Colleen Nixon and Dick McLean. Monument committee, Bob Betzinger, Ron Mussman, Paul Gassman, Seth Oder, and Jeff Chapman. City plan, Dwayne Sivers. Park and recreation, Peter Holmes, Jesse Lawson. Trails Advisory Committee, Mary Bertrand, Beth Carlson, Randy Myers, John Bonte, Jeffrey Hardy, Sean Connell, and Zane Pennock. And I think it's very good that these people will come forth and put their names in to be on these committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Is there still some more positions to fill? I think there is, right?
We have vacancies on the ADA, and off the top of my head, I'm trying to think who the other one is. I believe I'm still looking for someone on either grant or monument. And I can't, yeah, because we had criteria there of a veteran. We had, and I think I'm missing the high school students for but it's summer, so it's a little hard to get somebody for those. Middle school. So we're still that'll get filled shortly as soon as they get back in session. We'll get those, and then we have the Mayor's Youth Commission that Josh will get filled up this year because we have everybody's off of that one. Their terms have expired, so we're close to being filled up again. And I do have a person for the Airport Commission, so the next time that I meet, we'll be able to get that spot filled. Okay, so could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Connell.
Yes.
Shemmers.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our motions, resolutions, and ordinances for tonight, so we'll move to unfinished business. And the first one is item number 16, Councilmember Connell.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Thank you.
I thought you might.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call vote then, please?
Councilmember Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Abstain.
Shemmers.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
And the next item is number 17, Councilmember Connell.
I'll
Make a
make a
move to
motion.
approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, whichever. And could we have roll call vote on that one then too, please?
Councilmember Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Abstain.
Shemmers.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Thank you. And that concludes our unfinished business for tonight. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to adjourn to 7 p.m., August 14th, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Shemmers.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. We are adjourned. And we'll move directly into the Clinton City Council Committee of the Whole for July 24th. I'll call the meeting to order, and whenever our clerk is ready, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gassman.
Here.
Seeley.
Here.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
Shemmers.
Here.
Oder.
Here.
Thank you. Our first item tonight is the tax abatement on single-family residential homes. Matt?
Thank you, Your Honor. So, we brought it back, and so basically what I have for recommendation tonight is with the blighted areas that we do 100% abatement for the first, that we do 50% abate. Geez, I messed this all up. Rewind.
You want to start over?
Well, no, I want to start with this, actually. This. We got tongue tied.
Why don't I just introduce you again, and we'll just start over?
Rewind. We're going to use this new high spangle. It's also a shapeshifter here.
Well,
That is, we currently have a 3-year 50% abatement of taxes anywhere in the city. And what we looked at was 2 different courses of action to be able to look at blighted areas. We have one little thing we need to work out with you all tonight. I think we're ready to move this forward to be able to do the abatement for these areas. And the one area is, as I slide down, you'll notice here is, if I could orient you just a little bit, down here at the bottom, I think it moves a little slower than my pen does. So we have ADM in here. I got to get used to this. Got to move slow. ADM is here. Over here is South 14th Street. Give me a second. It's a little, we just installed this today, so it's a little herky-jerky. And then as you can see on the northwest there, that goes up Bluff, and it goes all the way up to, stand by, 7th Avenue North.
Yeah.
Now, the wrinkle is this. When we dug in, we also have an area
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember
here.
that. But we removed Miller Ridge.
Well, I want to talk about that.
Okay.
That's, yes, sir. So what we found is, though, when we did some digging, that multi-res is actually included in, I believe, 404 under the code for abatements. And so it's really up to you all to decide if you want to keep that part in there. They look for contiguous areas as another, but it can be standalone. It can be in that area. And I'm not sure why the minutes from my predecessor said it was because it was multi-res, but according to the policy, or excuse me, the state code, you can actually use multi-res within this abatement process. So it's really up to you. The good, bad, and ugly, I don't think it would hurt to offer this up for that area, because you know this has struggled for years to try to get off the ground and get moving. It's had different owners. It's been, you know, auctioned. I don't think it would hurt. And if you look at it from a standpoint, if somebody actually were to come in there, it would actually give them longer years to take advantage of all the improvements not being taxed. Just the improvements not being taxed. So my recommendation to you all is going to be that you keep it as it is. It's okay based on the code, state code, to be able to keep that in there, and we'll see if somebody actually takes advantage of doing that, because we have some things going on now. They're not quite where we want them to be with Miller Ridge. We got some folks that are working on it, but this might be the piece that puts them over the top to be able to move forward. And I don't think it'll hurt in the long run, because otherwise we're going to end up with nuisance dilapidated buildings up there, which are 14 on 37.11 acres that we can't do anything with. So that's really up to you guys.
End up with?
What's that?
End up with?
Yeah. Oh, nice. Miss.
New City Hall.
Be great to build new homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this will have no impact on our 3-year 50,
No, sir.
outside of, now, but even within this designated area, they could still do the 350 if they so choose.
Sure, but it really comes down to is what they're willing to put into the property. And so if you look at it, it's actually better for them to take advantage of this one for the longer period than doing the 50% for 3 years. Because say you did $10,000 improvement, you're going to be able to benefit from that $10,000 improvement for 10 years where you don't pay the taxes on it, versus just 3 years of 50% of it.
Yep.
But we're hoping that this will encourage this, layered with opportunity zones. I see I messed it by leaving the camera on. He didn't teach me that part, how to turn it off, Josh. I learned at 5 today. So this piece with the abatements in the blighted area with opportunity zones laid over, with our CDBGs for gut rehab and our CDBGs also for homes. Just a side story, today I had a really good conversation with somebody on a specific avenue north. We'll fill in it later. Basically, they've had a blighted nuisance house next to them for 15 years. We have the tax cert for that. So now the process is it goes out to Lynch Dallas. We have a 90-day time period where those folks have to come back in and say we want to pay our taxes on that. If they don't, we can demo that, offer it up for bid for the neighbor. Meanwhile, she said there might be a house next door that could be sold for a gut rehab, and then she said there might be one down the block that they could actually qualify for the CDBG for a new roof, new furnace, etc. So inch by inch, slow by slow, we could actually take care of some of our neighborhoods by this process of all this together. So I think it'd be a great thing for you all to look at.
Matt, with all this together, how are we marketing all of our
Yes.
opportunities?
Well, and interesting you say that, because we have our public information consultant who's on board now for her first week. She's going to be at our department head meeting tomorrow. And besides talking about how we actually send information out, you know, like priority one information on things that happen in town, you know, emergencies, we're going to talk about how do we actually get this word out, because we had a really good this fits into abatements, trust me. But we had a really good meeting last night to talk about the intersections. But it was really sad to see only a handful of people show up, and we had a couple that showed up later. But it's just they're not reading the paper, maybe not listening to the radio. Darn them, sorry guys, but we need to get more of that. But we got to figure out what's the medium. Is that the Facebook piece to get that out so they can see that a meeting is going to be held at place X and Y? And on a bigger conversation is, what do you do in the process to come in and fill out abatement paperwork? And how do you sign up for a block grant? What is a block grant, first off? And then so we're going to spend a lot of time on how we can actually train it up, and we're going to leverage the Neighborhood Improvement Committee. That's their main charter is the CDBG grants, and we're going to use those to be able to have, and maybe even I'm going to ask them Thursday, but to volunteer where they could be in the building, and so when folks show up, we could have designated times. You could come down, you could talk through, hey, these are my problems with my house. Would I fit and meet the criteria? Because we still have folks that, we have the $1 million lead abatement, but it's very slow trickling in as far as to get them, and they're out there, but we need to know how do we get out to them so we can actually complete that process for them. So I think that's going to be very important to this whole piece and how we get it out there to the folks.
So Matt, what are you looking for?
I'm looking to move this forward to the consent agenda so we can actually approve this plan, and then it's going to take a little longer because I got to go back and work with Allers Cooney. We're going to put together, because we have to update our urban revitalization plan, and then we'll bring that back to you guys as a consent agenda item.
Okay, and what about
Yep, and that's,
Miller
well,
Ridge?
and I need you guys to tell me either keep Miller Ridge or remove MillerRidge from this.
I was trying to remember why we removed it. There was a reason.
Well,
multi-residential.
In the statement it said
Yeah.
multi-residential was when you
It
guys
was
asked.
excluded from that.
It was
at the time.
excluded at the
Maybe
time.
it changed, I don't know, but.
Well, we dug into, what is it, 404 under the code, and it basically says that multi-res is, actually commercial is open as well for that, if it has rooms upstairs.
Upstairs?
Yeah, yes ma'am.
I think I have multi-res in my area too, on Ward 1. I mean, not to
Yeah,
the
you do.
extent of this, but I
Yep.
know
You-
that I
you
do,
do.
so.
Because the downtown area does
Yeah.
have that, so.
And so does Comanche Avenue in some
Yep.
areas.
I think it'd make a real big difference because, we have a lot of multi-res that actually is vacant. And this might be the boost that gets them to go in there because they're not going to be taxed on the remodeling costs.
I guess to piggyback off what Councilman Schimmer says, it can't be just, we pass this and then it sits there. I think BNS is probably one of the departments that sees a lot of that traffic. And if they, you're going to go in there, you're going to get a permit for something, you're going to do this. You're usually, hey, you're paying at this window. If you're going in there, they've got to have a packet or something put together that says, did you know that there are these out there? I guarantee you 90% of the people that go in there to pay for a permit don't know that there's these types of things out there. And they know they're going to probably get hit up on taxes. So, the county assessor should probably have the same type of document so it's congruent with each department. And, like I said, Neighborhood Improvements Committee is great, but, just those ways to get out to the people saying, well, gosh, I don't know if I want to do these improvements because of that fear of getting taxed on them. But they're great programs to have.
And Matt and I talked about that this afternoon. The other issue is some of the documents are so difficult to fill out. That's where we were talking about having the volunteers that could do. Literally, you come in, I don't know how to fill this out. Somebody that understands the question is, well, here's what you need to give us. So, I think in one case it wants a copy of your Social Security, it wants a copy of your tax return.
Your insurance.
So, okay, well, you need to tell them, you need to go home and bring me back these things, we'll put the packet together. It's kind of a little bit like, people that get assistance to do their income tax. We need to offer some people some assistance on how to fill out some of these forms, because these are government forms that are not easy to, just trying to figure out if you qualify.
And you hit it right on the first time. It's education, because this isn't. People are making up towards $55,000 that still can qualify for this program. So, people are very proud and they don't want to step forward, but this can help them. And for the CDBG part of it is you just have to live in your house for 5 years and you don't have to pay that back. So it could be a difference of putting a fresh roof on and having air conditioning in your house.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the same packet should be, the chamber has a relocation packet, I think they put out. The same type of thing should go to those businesses that have employees that come in to say, why are we going to choose Clinton? Well, we also have these opportunities, for you to take in a house maybe that's a little less than, than the neighborhood or the neighborhood norms around there and say, I'm going to put some money into it.
On the lower part of that map, is it Ward 1 and Ward 2?
Yes, ma'am.
pretty much.
Couldn't we have some within the wards itself, the meetings within the wards?
Definitely, that would be very helpful.
But then the next problem is getting the medium that people will use to know to show up.
Yeah.
That's-
And it may end up being that we use some volunteers and we basically provide pamphlets. We go out, we hang them on the door, but we also keep going at it. We just don't do it one time and stop to let them know that that program is out there. I would love to have like 12, 15 applicants. We only can do 6, but it would be great to be able to have that problem to that. And then just on layer on top of that is, and we don't know yet, but the opportunity zone piece will be even bigger because now you can have folks that can come in and there's investment dollars available to be able to do those things too, so.
Well, you remember the program going out Fifth Avenue that we got
We
nobody.
had a problem. That's why I think maybe the council should maybe take a walk along some of the areas and hand them out.
Yep.
At least from my district.
So I guess, is the consensus to leave Miller Ridge in? I guess we'll just say.
Yes.
Okay.
I think at this point.
So then is there a motion to move this forward with Miller Ridge to the next consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, and a second. Is there any other discussion or questions?
I just saw Matt's note here at the bottom about the abandoned building abatement schedule.
Oh, gotcha. If the council would like to pursue an abandoned building abatement schedule to the city's urban revitalization plan, coordination will need to occur with the city's bonding attorney to amend that. That's where we'd have to amend that, so.
What is this exactly?
I have not dug into it, but when I
That's
talk.
another thing you found?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, geez.
So this could be like, say we had a building downtown that's been abandoned and left. This program could actually incentivize folks to come in, fix it up, and get it back on the books, and then you're not paying taxes on all those things you did.
So you're gonna bring more information on
This
that?
will be embedded with that, and I'll highlight that separate.
Oh, okay.
So because Eilers and Cooney has to do all the legal pieces, and so when they bring that back, I'm gonna have that as a separate part, so you guys can look at that.
Okay.
And I'll probably give it to you ahead of time, so you can see what that means.
Okay.
But what I'm tracking is basically it's a tax abatement that applies to those abandoned buildings, just like it would to a resident area, to where
Okay.
all those improvements could be then not taxed on the improvements for a certain amount of time.
Okay, very good.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Gaston.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Shemmers.
Yes.
Fodor.
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll move on to item number 2, the Lions Tech Park update. Dennis Lauver. Do you have some jokes to tell or something, Dennis, while we wait? No. I couldn't resist
That doesn't end well when I do that.
I couldn't resist.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. The Lions Business and Technology Park. You may remember that several months ago, the board came and gave a presentation to you. Maureen Miller from the Chamber of Commerce, Bob Holsinger, who is the chair of the Lions Business Technology Board, and myself spoke. We gave you an update, and you know, we wanted to celebrate and thank the city of Clinton for their partnership way back, turning the clock back to, we have an idea, and growing to that stage we're at today where there's 400 jobs up at the Lions Business Technology Park. Since that meeting, the development agreement had been updated and approved. And at the time, we said, we're going to come and give you regular updates. And so we're back to give you and the citizens a regular update. A component of the marketing plan. And with the idea of being able to go to a prospect and say to the prospect, look, here's what a building in the Lions Business and Technology Park in Clinton, Iowa can look like, can be like, and to be as close to shovel ready as possible. So the discussion you're going to hear tonight is in the context of Lot 2, which Michael and his team will explain and show you where Lot 2 is, but everything you're about to hear could also apply to Lot 8 across the street, and he'll show you where that is. But the idea is that we're prepared to be able to say we're as close to shovel-ready as possible. That means that the site plans, that the building drawings have been approved by Jeff Chapman in Building Neighborhood Services. And so that, again, that prospect says, my time from here to go has been as short as possible, without Clinton actually, or without a private developer actually having built the building. Because that allows them the flexibility to say, you know what, yeah, I'm interested in leasing the building. Or, now I want to build the building. Great, we're ready for you to go. And working in partnership with the city, that time is as compressed as possible and therefore as attractive as possible. So Mike Fry, who's a member of the board, and John Totten with Clinton Engineering, Steve Housen, myself, worked through a process, and we selected Klingner Architects. And tonight, 3 members of the Klingner team from their Galesburg, Illinois office join us. Earlier today, 4:30 this afternoon, over at the Chamber building, 18 folks in the community met with them in a meeting. Members of the Chamber, Chamber Board, CRDC, and the Business Park Board met, heard, saw the same sorts of things you're about to see, provided some input. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael and his team. They're going to walk you through this, and then when they're done, and if you've got questions, ask them. And then when he's done, I'll come back for some closing comments and try to answer any other questions you might have. Michael, floor is yours.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you very much for allowing us to come to present to you today. As I mentioned, my name is Michael Fries. I'm an architect with Klingner & Associates. I also have 2 of my team members here, Mark Lee, our civil engineer, and Heather Olson, our architectural interior designer. And we're very pleased to be able to come to present to you as what Dennis alluded to, Lot 2 of the plan here at the Clinton Business Park. So I'm going to flip the slide over. So on the PLAT survey, to try and help people get orientated, as you're familiar with your city, Mill Creek Road is the road that actually runs down here through the south, and then you have 19th Street that comes up. These lots here are currently lots that have already been developed with buildings on site. The lot we're talking about, Lot 2, is the one that's actually highlighted here in blue. And so for your bearings, this is the property that we're talking about right now, where we've developed a site plan and a building plan to go for. Lot 8 that Dennis also mentioned is just right across the street. And so we have the opportunity, as we're starting here off with Lot 2, we're coming up with the site plan and the schematic floor plan for that building. Lot 8 is also one that we'll be working on here shortly. And as Dennis mentioned, with the idea of having flexibility, we could actually have the two do some interchanging. If a company tends to like one lot versus the other, there's that kind of flexibility. Flexibility is a theme that we've tried to put in to our design, so that way it gives the development part the most opportunity to build, recruit new companies that want to come to this site and look at one of these 2 pieces of property.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but can you
Certainly.
move a little closer to the microphone?
Otherwise, the people. My apologies.
Otherwise, the people at home won't be able to hear you.
Okay, hello, people at home.
We know there's at least 2 listening.
Okay, very good. I was used to my voice being able to carry in the room. I was not aware of being able to talk into the mic. So I'm going to turn to, if anyone have any questions on where the orientation of the site is and the streets are? Okay, very good. I'm going to hand this part next over to Mark Lee, our civil engineer from our office, and he's going to explain the site plan.
Good evening, my name is Mark Lee. I am the civil engineer. So I'm the dirt and concrete guy. I'm not the building guy. So if you're looking at right here, this is the schematic site plan. Basically put at this stage, this is pretty generic to a large extent. We don't know exactly what's going to come in here, but I do know I have to make sure everything is okay with Clinton City Code. Of course, you have a stormwater management plan, you have a tree plan, you have parking spaces. There has to be ADA compliance, there has to be a certain number per the square footage of the building. So all that is taken into account. If you look at this little square right here, This is actually Ashford University. That's their existing building. So we're basically just a little bit north of them. Down here is actually 19th. So the north is actually kind of up at an angle like this. But in my experience, it's really hard for people to kind of look at everything at an angle. They just want to see it straight up and down. So that's how you're looking at it right here. So 19th Street is down here. You have an existing concrete access road, and there's an existing small asphalt road that Ashford University uses to enter into their facility. So what I have selected is, I'm assuming this is just a typical commercial property. A typical commercial property of about 20,000 square feet, which is this building, requires 84 parking spots. I have a total of about 130. The reason for that is number one, there's always extra. You always want to have overflow, especially if your actual lot can take the extra spots. In this case, there's more than ample room to have many more than 80, therefore we'll go ahead and we'll use them. The second thing is, of course, you require trees for a certain amount of lot space. In this case, 14 trees was the minimum per city code. There's a lot more than 14. 14 is definitely a minimum when you have a lot of this size. Reality, you want to put in as many as you can just for aesthetics. People like trees, they just do. So I'm basically putting them wherever I can. You have your 4 ADA spots, including van accessibility, right here at the main entrance. This is the main entrance right here. And then you have your sporadic lights. And again, this is kind of a generic plan. This is just to show what a site could look like. I'm trying to mimic, to an extent, what the existing buildings already look like. You don't want them to look very different. There's always some variations, but you don't want one look like an apple and one look like an orange. They should look like they all belong together. The only other final thing, and this will be explained, of course, when Heather gets up here and talks about the programming of the building, this is a loading zone. So this is basically, it's a spot, if a semi comes in here and they're loading, or there's another one in the way, or there's a delay, they can always just park up here and wait for a little bit until they can actually be unloaded. So that is it in a nutshell. Is there any questions or comments? I'd love to hear them. We're here to get feedback.
For trucks in and out, they use the same entrance and exit as that?
The thought process is that this is it's a small asphalt road. That's the kind of narrow lane you see right there. You probably have to, if they're actually going to want to do a full pull through, you probably want to widen this to a full concrete road. And the thought process is they'd probably come in here like this and then back in and then go all the way through, or they could come in here, the other existing concrete road, and pull all the way through and then back in. And that, of course, it depends on who actually wants to build this. If they're more of a warehouse type facility, this would need to be modified to allow for a lot of trucks to come in and out. Right now, I'm assuming it's not that many deliveries, more of an office type setting where you're just going to have small deliveries of product. You guys are very easy on me. Thank you.
What's your first time here? Wait till the next time.
And it's my pleasure to introduce Heather Olson, our architectural interior designer with our firm.
Hello. So
You move over to the mic.
So my portion of the plan was the interior, more focused on what's going inside, how the space is going to lay out, and what we tried to do is just to plan for all options. You know, we don't want to limit who would be interested in the building. So what we tried to do is make it flexible and have spaces that would appeal to all types of, maybe it's some sort of insurance company, maybe it's a call center, maybe it's, I don't know, we had a technology, you know, maybe they have a small manufacturing. So we tried to keep that in mind when we were going through it. So I'm just going to take you through the building here. This is the entrance area. With a large kind of lobby, waiting, reception area. The thought behind that was if the company had some sort of product that they wanted to display or something, they could put it up there in front, also a waiting area. Of course, again, that's always flexible in space if we need to shrink it or whatever. You would enter here to a large conference space. Off to the side, there's some storage area, IT space, copy room, mail room, small mechanical room on this half of the building. This section is shown as an executive type area with some open office space in here. Maybe that's your HR or marketing or department or something like that. Some administrative space, executive administration. And then these two spaces are showing as the chief financial officer and then like a CEO space, they would have their own private restrooms and their own private exit and entrance. I think if we went back to the site plan, they would also have a, you want to go back? Right here is that. They have a private kind of patio area. Again, this is to show what's possible. If it's not necessary, then we could also turn that back into more open office space or, you know, cut back on. It's just kind of keeping in mind we want to appeal to everybody. Go ahead. Thank you. So that part also has access to this open area. These are open office cubicles here and here. And down the center, there are like middle management type offices with kind of glass so they can borrow light from with the exterior windows. This is the first set of restrooms. There's also just a small custodial closet and a lactation space here, which is becoming norm. As you go toward the back, some of the other spaces, there's another small conference room here, another mechanical room, a large storage space, which can accommodate some of these seats. This larger space here is like a training room, which can double as a break room, just kind of a multi-purpose space for the company. Attached to that is a kitchen area and also access to the outside for a outside break area. What we thought would be interesting just to put in there is a lot of spaces, a lot of companies are, you know, into fitness and health, and so we included a small area for exercise, which is adjacent to these other two restrooms. These restrooms also have a single stall shower and a couple lockers, just for extended work nights or if you need to get out and exercise a little bit on your break. The last part of the building is where the shipping and receiving could take place. We're calling it a flex space. It could be something like if the company needed to do some sort of small manufacturing, or if it's a lab type thing, or again, the shipping and receiving, whatever they might need. And also, you know, if it wasn't a necessary thing, you take the wall down and it just becomes more cubicle space. So that's kind of the space plan, and I'm going to just go to this next slide, I think. Oh, does this part work? Oh. So this is just how it would break down square footage wise. There's the building total, that's the gross total, the 20,966, and just how it breaks down square footage wise. About 100 employees in that space. Obviously, it could be more. We could do smaller cubicles if it was a call center type situation. So that's the program. Is there any questions on that portion or comments?
Where do you hang the city hall sign?
The city.
I like the private entrance.
One of the things
Looks like a good police station.
Yeah.
in terms of providing flexibility,
Yeah.
would be a question that was asked earlier is what if you had potentially two tenants that want to occupy the building? And so one of the options with the flexibility is this packaging receiving area could also become a second entrance. Just as you had an entrance here, you could have an entrance there, and you could almost, with a little bit of maneuvering, kind of divide the space up in half. So you could have that kind of flexibility for you. And that would also be very conducive for the site. Heather had mentioned with the showers here, when you go back to the site plan, you look at the site plan, sorry, our advancer's not working with this laptop. There are quite a few sidewalks that are already established here along 19th Street. And I've been told as you go there during the day, you see people in the other business buildings are actually out walking and so forth. The trees, I mean, it's a very nice, if you want to talk about a corporate campus atmosphere, that would set you up for that corporate campus atmosphere for people to be able to, you know, walk along for lunch, or even if they live nearby, to be able to walk to work, bike to work. That's those are definitely contemporary trends that we see. And we also brought in some views that we thought would be suggestions for the exterior look of the building. Having talked with the committee, we wanted to make sure we're respecting some of the other materials that were there for existing buildings on the site, but also be able to interject a little bit of perhaps some flair for the building as well. So I'm going to advance to those slides. And so this is a view looking at the corner of the site. This would be the front entrance area to the building. And so many of the buildings out there at the business park currently are masonry for a facade in the exterior. So they do show, we show that we have a little bit of masonry in the middle band with a little bit of stone. As far as the building construction, there is varying types of building construction out there in terms of the actual bones of the building. Some are concrete panels, some are wood frame. The type of style that we worked in with the building design on the exterior can be flexible to accommodate any of those types of building systems. With the idea, contemporary offices nowadays, light, being able to get into the space to make it kind of more open and airy is something that we do see quite a bit of. So we try to incorporate that idea with the glass area. And then I will advance to the next slide, where we show this would be looking from the parking lot side, looking at the front of the building. And again, for the point of reference here, this would be looking straight on from 19th Street. That would be the main entrance to the main front lobby. And then over here would be that break room, training room, flex area off to the side. Any questions at all from the ladies and gentlemen of the council?
Looks nice.
Yeah, got to get the kitchenette added.
Thank you, Michael. So in terms of timeline and next steps, the Klingner Group is going to take the input they received at that meeting this afternoon, and as they ponder any feedback and discussion received tonight, they're going to finish the drawings. They're going to work with Jason Kraft and Jeff Chapman and continue to make sure, as I said earlier, that site approval, building drawings are approved to the maximum degree possible. Heather and her and others will be working on a video, a kind of a flyby that really turns that beyond just a one-dimensional drawing, but a little bit more of that virtual building so that a prospective business can see, and that puts this in the context of the other 400 jobs that are out there at the business park now and helps them to see what's happening there. And then the marketing will really kick in. LOIS is the acronym for one of the main programs developed by Kansas City Power and Light, used from a lot of folks across the nation that do site selection work for these types of businesses. Clinton Regional Development already lists several buildings and available buildings here, but we'll get this on LOIS. And then the board, Steve Howes and myself, will work with the new executive director of CRDC and her staff and begin to create and implement a marketing plan, working with Quad City Development and working with others. We've already been in discussion with Michael Gould, basically the number 2-3 person with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and having those discussions about implementing a marketing plan. As a group, the plan is to come back to you on a regular basis, on a periodic regular basis, and give you and the public updates as to what's going on. So I want to finish by saying thank you again to everybody involved, the Chamber, CRDC, the Business Park Board. Thanks to those folks who spent their time today giving some input to the folks from Klingner. Thanks to you for your continued partnership. What questions do you have for me or for Mike, Tom Detterman, Maureen, John Totten that are here from the Business Park Board? Any questions that you have?
I have one. I'm not an engineer, never built a building. My wife said if we ever build a house, we'd probably get divorced, so we didn't decide not to build a house. So maybe my question, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. You design this building, I know it's on paper as such, for a 20,000 square foot building sitting on this lot, and you're trying to get it approved, so it's, the timeline of getting everything done moves along very quickly. What happens if somebody comes in and says they want a 35,000 square foot building and they want it L-shaped? What does that do? What does that do to your plant? Does it delay things? I guess the mechanics.
If we have a client that comes in, a potential client that wants to look at changes to the plan, we'll certainly work with the organization to get those changes accommodated. Because obviously, in order to be able to secure clients that want to come into the business park, we need to make sure we can be accommodating of that. So that will be a service that will work with you to accommodate that. And
does it slow, I guess does it slow the timeline down, or are you still going to be able to move at the accelerated time because they're not wanting exactly the building that you
Sure.
laid out.
There could be, any period between maybe a couple weeks to maybe up to a month or two, depending on how extensive the changes are. Those are things that we'll work through because it will not only affect the building design for the floor plan, but potentially the site layout. And we want to make sure that we're staying in concert with the building codes and also the ordinances for the city to do that. So that's something that for a firm of our size, we're definitely capable of doing and working with you on.
It always seems like no matter what you draw a picture of, somebody's going to want something different than what,
Design's a fluid process, that's for sure.
That's why they invented CAD drawing, I think. You can just change it. Okay. Julie,
I have a
did you-
question. As it sits now, what would the square foot charge be per square foot?
We don't know the answer to that question yet. Some of that'll be driven by, again, to the point just made, as soon as we spend at this point, a little premature on that, but then also, as soon as we go into the mindset of, this is the building that's going to be leased, we'd have that prospect say, great, I want to buy and build my own and own my own building. But as we get into that process of when a contractor, when they finish their drawings, they can go to a contractor who can then work up a bid, give us an idea of what that lease rate is likely to be. That'll be folded into part of that marketing package with CRDC, Iowa Economic Development Authority, et cetera, Quad City Development, et cetera. So we're a little ahead of that, but that's part of that next plan, Julie.
Thank you.
Great question. Any other questions? Or again, Maureen, Tom, John, Mike? Speak now.
Or forever hold your peace.
They're holding their peace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, mayor and council updates. I have just a couple items. Last week, we had our press conference, which was very well attended. We presented our build grant, and if you haven't seen the video, drive-to-prosperity.com. There's a great video there, and actually the entire build grant is actually online. And there's another important date coming up, July 31st, which is next Tuesday. At 6 o'clock out in DeWitt, we are going to be having a discussion at the public hearing for the 28E agreement for the landfill. It will discuss getting rid of the head tax, no weighted vote, and that the county would then have a $215,000 a year levy in lieu of us having a head tax. So the work that we've been going for about the last 11 months is coming to, we have an agreement ready for everyone to start to talk about the vote. The first step is the county has to agree to doing the levy, otherwise we can't move forward with the 28E. So if they do agree to move forward with a levy, we'll be bringing it to the council to review, and hopefully you will approve. So that's what I've got. Anybody else?
I have something, and I
Okay.
should have said it the last time, and we should probably thank Josh Hansen for all of his hard work and all those people that work with him and
Oh, you gotta turn your microphone.
and getting all this
No, wait a minute, you
techno-
gotta start all over because he didn't have the mic on.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank Josh Hansen and the people that worked with him in getting all this technology put together for us last meeting, so.
Anybody else?
Your
Hearing
Honor.
that?
Your Honor.
Yes.
My mistake. We have.
We're all done with you.
My agenda's done.
We have copies of handouts of what was shown on the PowerPoint.
Okay.
And I will hand them to Lisa, and she can distribute
Okay.
those to you.
Okay.
And if you've got not enough, then don't give one to Mark.
Just remember, I'm the one that has to sign any documents that come
Yes,
through.
Your Honor.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you.